Hello, sunshine. Welcome back to the Gold Biz Podcast with me, your host, Rachel Traxler. I've got a little fun episode for you today. We are going to uncover and talk about creating a signature style that sets you apart because I feel like this is something that you are especially going to need in the following years to come. And I think it's something that we need to talk about. We need to hone in on, and you need to really take a deep dive, look at yourself, figure out if you have these things. If you don't have these things, you need to start doing them and figure out how to do them. So I'm hoping that you can walk away from this episode today knowing what those things are and then going and having some homework that you can start like figuring out and asking yourself these questions and really know who you are so that you can set yourself apart in 2025 and the years to come too. But first off, I have a couple little fun updates, I guess, personal life updates. If you're not watching on YouTube, which you should be, I actually just dyed my hair. I went brunette, which I'm getting a little jump scare every time I look at myself in the mirror still. I'm still really getting used to it. We basically just took my root color, kind of matched it the best we could, and took it everywhere. So I feel like the older I get, the darker my hair gets. And so it was just harder to keep up with the blonde, which I'm not going to lie, I feel most myself when I am a little on the blonder side, but I'm going to just run with this, give this a go, give it a fair shot and just see if I like it. I don't know. I have mixed emotions. Like every time I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, who are you? What do I wear? What do I do? This doesn't feel like me. I don't know. So that's just a fun little life update. I haven't been brunette, I don't think ever. I don't think I've never gone full brunette. So this is a fun change for me. Another fun little life update that we have. This came out of the blue, out of absolutely nowhere. Not nowhere, because Trent and I have been looking for a while seriously, and then we weren't seriously. Then we put it on the back burner and then weren't really looking. But we have had notifications for land for a while. And then we kind of just put it on the back burner and didn't think about it. But last week, we got a notification for some land that went for sale right by our house. Like it's a half a mile away from our house. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's 52 and a half acres. And we own half an acre. So we now own 53 acres of land, which is wild to me. Like it came out of nowhere. We saw it. We both immediately were like, wait, we like this. It's close to home. It checks all of our boxes. It feels meant to be. So we ended up putting in an offer and it got accepted right away. And we are now landowners. We own 53 acres of land, which is crazy. So that's been, even just within the last few days since my last episode, a fun little life update. And I've never publicly announced this like to you guys or on my social media platforms or anything like that. Now, if you watched my Lucky 13 episode on ABC and Hulu when I was a contestant on the new game show Lucky 13 a month or so back, I did mention it on there, but Trent and I would love to own a wedding venue someday. It's been something that I've kind of always thought would be really fun. We were seriously pursuing it for a while. And again, now it's just kind of on the back burner. And then this piece of land came up and we're like, well, this kind of is just the first step into owning a venue. So whether it happens in the future, whether we use this land to just build our home on, whether Trent uses it for hunting land, I use it for sessions. Heck, if we even turn around and sell it in a few years, like we just feel like we're not going to lose out by having this piece of land. So if the wedding venue happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's totally fine. But if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, yeah, I know some connections, or I think this would be fun, or you should talk to so and so, like definitely send them my way. I think we're just in a spot right now that we're just letting whatever happens. If it's God's will and we are meant to open up and own a wedding venue, then things will fall into place and hopefully we get that clarity. That's the direction that we were meant to be going in. And if it doesn't, so it's kind of like a fun, no pressure situation. But of course, we're also in a position right now that if we were going to take any action on it, we would need investors. So again, if you know any connections or know anybody, why not like use this platform and network to network with each other? So let me know, shoot me a DM if you know anything like that. But that's just a little life update there. Let's see. I feel like I had one other like life update and it wasn't a major one. It was just kind of like a little mini one. Oh no, I don't remember. I definitely had another one. It wasn't as exciting as dyeing my hair brunette or buying 52 acres of land, but it was something, but whatever, small enough. But yeah, just a little life update before we dive into the good stuff of this episode. Why you're here. I usually don't do little personal life updates with you, but I figured it'd be fun to share. And if you haven't already, make sure you do go watch my episode of Lucky 13. You can stream it on Hulu on the game show, and I'll have to do another episode probably maybe in the beginning of my next episode. I will talk and tell you why I think I got chosen to be on the game show and how that all came about. Because I do think it really ties into business and branding and the way I have been able to set up my brand and business. So I think that'd be fun to kind of dissect and like interweave between business and how that came about. But, anyways, let's get to it. I'm rambling. This is why I like to have a general outline for my episodes and why I dive into it, because otherwise I ramble. So this is kind of a ramble episode, which is totally unlike me, but I'm going to try something new. Okay, creating your signature style that sets you apart. This is going to be so important, more important, honestly, now than ever, because I've been in the industry a while and something I've been seeing recently is a trend in editing style in a way that I've never seen before. Like, I feel like in my years of experience, everyone's always kind of had their own, they either fell into specific like brackets of editing style. Are you light and airy? Are you more like fine art luxury? Are you dark and moody? Are you warm toned? Are you like bright, true, vibrant, like contrasty color? Editing wise, there were different brackets I feel that people fell into. And now I feel like all of a sudden everyone wants to edit the exact same way. Everyone wants to do very like cinematic, like true to color, filmy tone, which is chef's kiss, like gorgeous, beautiful, yummy, delicious. I love it. Personally, like I love it. It's making me even be like, ooh, should I change my editing style? Like I love it so much. And I think that is why mostly everyone is gravitating towards it, which I totally understand. But what I'm seeing now more than ever is I used to just be able to scroll through Instagram and come across a photo and be like, oh, yep, that's so and so's work. That's so and so's work. I know that this is her photo. I know that he took this shot. And I'm just not able to do that anymore as much. I feel like as I'm scrolling through Instagram, I have to like look at people's names because I'm like, everything's looking the same to me recently. And I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if that's just my feed, who I follow, what I'm seeing. It could totally be me, but that's just what I'm noticing lately. And it sparked this idea of like inspiring this episode really of we need to figure out like signature styles that set us apart, not only editing style, but we'll get into that too. The first one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I've got 5 different signature styles you can think about. Number 1 is the editing style. So obviously we are in a visual industry. Our visuals catch eye first. Like we see visuals and we are caught and either immediately like attracted to it or repelled by it, a certain editing style visually. And so knowing your own editing style, and I know that's like tricky and it can change. It's okay to change. I think as long as your editing style matches the rest of these signature styles we're going to talk about, I think that's key. I think your editing style needs to match everything else because if it does not match everything else, it's not going to make sense. It's not going to be cohesive. You're not going to build trust and kind of build like that thought authority leadership basically in your industry of I don't know, like subconsciously it just breaks trust. I've talked about this before and it just does. So we'll kind of circle back to the editing style, but the second signature style that you should think about is your niche. And niche could be a few different things. It could be what you photograph. It could be weddings, elopements, families, newborns. It also could be locations. It could be beach maternity sessions. It could be mountain elopements. Like, I think the more specific you can get, the more niche you're going to get. So, in terms of niche, you should think about what you shoot, where you shoot, and how you shoot it, because those are like the niche things that people are going to come to you for. People go to people for services for their niche. And so if you have a very specific niche, people can only get that from you. And what's cool about that is some of it also comes down to like your personality, even because sometimes your niche is just your personality and who you are. People cannot get that anywhere else but you. So it could also come down to that. So I don't want you to think of, when you think of the word niche, that it always necessarily technically means that it has to be like is what you're shooting. It can be any of those things that I just talked about, and that's going to tie the whole thing together. And so you want to create your own kind of like signature style, signature niche when you're coming up with that. So what I want you to do, because I love action. So I want you to write down your niche in terms of what you shoot. I want you to write down what you shoot, who you shoot, where you shoot, and how you shoot. Those 4 things. I want you to write those down, and then you can kind of come up with your own niche within that. And that's going to probably help you determine the rest of these signature styles too. I'm interrupting my own episode to give you a quick glimpse into my signature coaching program created for established photographers wanting to double to quadruple their prices, book their highest package, and bring in inquiries consistently. This is my high-level container of go-to photographers who are making huge waves in the industry. And the biggest difference in this program is that we get a full 12 months together for deep dive transformation, weekly coaching call support, 4 coaches in the program to deep dive into specific topics, and a content retreat, all included in one program. And I always say, if you can book one extra wedding from your year in the program together, you're going to see your ROI. And it's just the weekly norm wins for my students. So I'm fully confident that you're going to be able to do that and way, way more. And this is an application, phone call, and acceptance process only type of program. So if you are curious if this is the right next steps for you to just blow up your business this year, you can fill out the application at racheltraxler.com/apply or get the link in the show notes. I'll be in touch shortly after you fill it out so that we can talk through together if this is the right fit for you. I'm very honest with people, and I want this to be a great fit for everyone involved. That's just my heart behind the way I do this process. And I also think that's why my students just see so much success in this program. So don't just be an information consumption overload this year. I want you to be an action taker and start implementing change into your business. So again, if this feels aligned to you, fill out the application at racheltraxler.com/apply to apply for my Passion to Profit coaching program. So the number 3 is your posing style. This is totally your signature style. Everyone poses and approaches and like connects with people so differently. So although we may think we're using the same posing prompts with couples to couple or the same posing prompts as other photographers, we are doing it differently. So I want you to think about your posing style. I see again, a lot of with this true to color documentary vibe happening. I feel like the word documentary and documentary posing and all of that is almost like the new buzzword. At first, I feel like it was adventurous, and then it went to luxury, and then like authentic, and now I feel like it's documentary. I feel like that's the new buzzword of the industry. And so I want to make sure that you are using that word correctly and in alignment. So I love candid photos. Personally, this is my style. Like, I love as much candid photos as possible. But a lot of that, and I like doing documentary photos when applicable, but I'm not going to call myself a full documentary wedding photographer because I do guide a lot of things. I guide people because a lot of my ideal clients come to me because they see what I bring out in photos and they say, we are not that great in front of the camera. We see how natural your photos and how natural your couples are in front of the camera. And that's what we're coming to you for. Like, that's your expertise that we really want from you, that we can tell that not every other photographer has. These are just things people have told me. And so I'm not going to take that away from my true self and call myself a documentary photographer when that's not the case. Because to me, documentary is like, I'm not talking to you, I'm not posing you, I'm not guiding you at all. Whereas my style is very guided. It's almost like guided documentary. So, yes, I do candid, but I'm guiding you into that candid moment, if that makes sense. Not always. And sometimes it's total candid and I'm not saying anything at all. Preferably, that's always nice, but that's not always realistic too. So, knowing your posing style and how that also correlates with your niche in terms of those 4 things that make up your niche, and then also your editing style too. Does your posing style match your editing style? Like, if I'm full on posing, like if I'm, for example, if I'm posing you, I'm directing you, like there's no candid moments happening here. Like, there maybe is a little bit, but I'm really telling you what to do. You are always guided in front of my camera. But then you have very, documentary editing style, like that might not translate. Or if you have a very documentary style approach, but your photos are very like light and airy clients maybe want more posed and picture perfect, pretty photos, that might not translate well. So you need to make sure that your posing style also connects with all of these things. And that leads me into the next one. The 4th signature style is your communication style. So this has nothing to do with visuals or like the shooting in general. It's your communication. How are you at emailing? How are you at in-person communication, phone call communication, promptness? What is your turnaround time? People who are wanting to hire a very niched, higher end expert at elopements, just for example, probably aren't going to hire someone who has portfolio of maternity photos on the beach, who doesn't have a quick turnaround time in a response and all of these things, or is very stiff and to the point and kind of professional in their communication style and in their writing style. Because if someone's eloping in the mountains, they probably want a little bit more personalized and they want to feel connected to you a little bit more. So it all comes down to your communication style. This is something I talk about a ton with my students in my coaching program, of really customizing that initial inquiry response to the clients and how they communicate, how they perceive feeling seen and valued. That's going to look different for everyone. And so your communication style is not going to resonate with everyone, and that's okay. But knowing that if it's true to the way that you're communicating, and if it's true to your posing style, your niche, your editing style, and all of your other signature styles in your brand, then that's good too. But there is a time and a place where you can meet those couples where they're at and like communicate with them in a way that they feel is best and they feel most seen and heard and valued. And they're going to be more likely to book with you because they're more connected to you. So that's just something to think about as well. And then your 5th signature style is your brand style. Now, this ties into everything. All of the signature styles I just talked about should be all encompassed by your entire brand. So, your brand voice, your brand tone, the communication, the visual side, the niche side, like everything about who you are and what you stand for in your value, in your business core values. Does that translate with everything else you're doing? And how is it different from everyone else? Because again, a lot like the editing style that I'm seeing a lot of people kind of tend to the same thing. This happens. Trends come and they go. Certain things come in style and then they leave. Certain things stay longer and leave quicker, like certain things. I'm seeing a lot of similarities with brand style, with fonts, with logos, portfolio, a lot of things. I'm seeing a lot of similarities, which you are at the risk for just blending in, not standing out. And here's what's going to happen when you do this and don't come up with all of these signature styles for yourself. You're going to blend in. You're going to get price shopped the heck out of, because what's stopping people from inquiring with 5 people who have very similar brands, very similar styles? People are just going to be looking for the cheapest price because you don't stand out compared to someone else. You don't have that unique selling point of you're the only one who can offer this, because this person's going to offer me this at a lower price and it's similar. So I'll probably just go with that. So you really need to position your offers and your brand to encompass all of your signature styles here, to let your clients know that they can only get all of these signature styles from you and no one else. And I think that's the beauty. Like, that's when everything kind of like clicks and connects and makes sense to you and your brand, and then also to your ideal clients and your potential clients too, because that's when you're going to get clients coming to you saying, like, we want you and we only want you. Like, those are those dream clients that I talk about, those dreamer buyers that come to you, no question, because they know that what you're offering, they cannot get anywhere else. So, those are your signature styles that I really want you to kind of just sit back and reflect on and ask yourself what those are for all of you and really dive deeper. And I always love to do the 7 layers deep exercise when I do these types of things. So, for example, when you look at your editing style, I want you to go through all 5 of these things, write down your answers, and then do the 7 layers deep for every single one. So ask yourself why 7 times. Okay. For example, I'm going to do this for you for an example's sake. My editing style is warm, filmy, true to color. Why is that? Well, I have a warm and welcoming personality. Well, why? Well, I like to make people feel really invited and welcomed and very comfortable. Why? I don't know. I'm the youngest sibling and I've loved hosting, and I don't like people feeling left out. I want them to feel involved and welcomed. Okay, well, why? Oh, well, I don't know. Like, you have to just go deeper and deeper. And that's literally just for one. Ask yourself those questions for every single one. I promise you, you're going to pull more out than you even realize is within you. And you even realized was behind your why and behind your own styles and the reasoning for it. So it's going to be really helpful for you. So let's do a quick little recap on what all of these 5 signature styles are. Number 1 is your editing style. Number 2 is your niche. Number 3 is your posing style. Number 4, your communication style. And number 5, your brand style. So hopefully, by going through these, doing these exercises, this is going to be helpful for you to figure out your signature style. Also, take a shot every time I said the word signature style in this episode. I'm so sorry, but I'm just really drilling it in your head, really just hitting it home for you. I hope this was helpful. I think this is what's going to make you stand apart and set you apart in 2025. This is at least a first stepping stone, a little bit of a foundation. There's a lot more that goes into it. And utilizing these in your branding and in your marketing campaigns and in your messaging and all of those things. But it's a good start. So do them. Let me know if you have questions. If you love this episode, I would love it if you screenshot and share it to your stories and tag me at Rachel Traxler so I can see which episodes you are loving the most, and then also share the love in return. But thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I appreciate you so, so, so much. Keep shining, and we'll see you next time.